An interesting decision there reported in the media in the last couple of days. I'm just reading it there online now. And it's to do with a landlord who evicted a tenant and then let the property immediately afterwards for much, much higher rent. The landlord has now been ordered rather by the Residential Tenancies Board to pay €12,000 to the tenant who she evicted. So the tenant was a lady, Natalie Gorgi. She saw an advertisement for the property from which she was evicted, in which she lived with her family for over 11 years. She saw an ad re-advertising the property at a higher rent, and she brought a claim to the Residential Tenancies Board. So the landlord re-advertised the property at a higher rent after serving a notice of termination on a family has been ordered to pay €12,000 by the Residential Tenancies Board. The tenant lived at the property on the Navan Road with her husband and two sons, and she received a notice of termination from the landlord, Linda Coate, as she required the property for her own occupation. That's what she claimed anyway, and that's one of the reasons why, or one of the grounds for terminating a tenancy, that you wanted for your own use or perhaps to sell it. After a long and difficult process, the tenant found alternative accommodation and she moved there in December 2023. But it now takes her about 90 minutes to pick up her children from school, and compared to the previous 10-minute drive. The rent of the new tenancy is extremely expensive at €2,660, almost double that of her previous tenancy, she told the Residential Tenancy Tribunal. In January 24, Miss Gorgi received a daft notification listing the property that she had vacated at €2,150 a month. The advertisement, which was supplied as evidence for the hearing, was taken down a few hours later, she told the tribunal, and believed the whole process had been a trick to get them to leave so the rent could be increased. She said that she was appalled to see the advertisement and that she'd have forfeited her current tenancy and accepted the loss of the deposit had she been re-offered the property in which she had lived for more than 11 years with her family. A representative then for the landlord, Miss Coate, the representative Alan McKenna, argued that Miss Gorgi had not supplied new contact details, though the tenant argued her contact details had never changed in 12 years. Mr. McKenna also argued that although the property was advertised as being €2,150, this was to receive, quote, a lower level of inquiries due to the high demand in the rental market. What sort of an argument that is beyond me, quite frankly. I can't figure it out. Mr. McKenna also told the tribunal that the new tenants were paying €2,017.77 per month, which included additional services. Miss Coate then is the landlord. She told the tribunal that medical issues arose after gaining possession of the property, prompting her to stay with relatives instead. In other words, she had originally served a notice of termination on the grounds that she wanted the property for herself, wanted to live in it herself, which is one of the grounds for terminating a tenancy. However, she didn't move in, and she said it was because of medical issues. She indicated that if the tenants had wanted the dwelling, they should have replied to the daft advertisement in January 2024, according to the tribunal report published this week. The tribunal found that the landlord, Miss Coate, unlawfully deprived Miss Gorgi of possession of the property, having failed to offer her an opportunity to reoccupy the dwelling before re-advertising it. It noted that Miss Gorgi and her family had suffered loss, inconvenience and expense as a direct result, and in considering the significant consequences, it ordered Miss Coate, the landlord, to pay €12,000 damages in 12 monthly instalments. So there you go. That is a landlord terminating the tenancy of a long existing tenant, a long occupying tenant, and purportedly to occupy the premises herself. But in fact, it appears from the facts that she, well, for medical reasons, she says she didn't move into it, and then advertised the property at double the rent or something like that, and didn't let the previous tenant know about that. And she's been ordered to pay the tenant, former tenant, €12,000. So, as a landlord, you need to be careful, and you need to abide by the law and not make up spurious reasons for terminating tenancies. Hope you find the video useful. If you do, you might give the old thumbs up down below, and you may be interested in subscribing to my YouTube channel. If you are, just hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks a lot.